Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Venus in all 12 houses and how it will affect you. Let me talk a little bit about what Venus is all about, because Venus is the planet that I actually say, where Jupiter is the planet of millionaires, Venus is the planet of billionaires. Venus is a luxury, opulent wealth, and Venus is beauty. So before I start with my whole dissertation today, I do want to point out that today, yes, I am wearing my new line of jewelry that is empowered as you empower it, with mantras and especially affirmations. So these earrings are actually the 7 chakras, and this is actually a mala with 108 beads that you will be doing your prayers and affirmations with to empower them to heal and help your life. So go to my website, check out my line of jewelry, and see all of the new things that I'm offering. So my website is galacticcenter.org, and I thought it was most appropriate to mention the jewelry line with planet Venus, because Venus is beauty, Venus is jewelry, it rules fashion, anything that adorns the body to make it more beautiful, or anything in this world actually. As Venus is also artwork, it's also anything that decorates your home, make it more beautiful. It rules flowers, so that can even deal with the grooming around your house, such as the landscaping and just a beautiful home. And furnishings, it would rule furniture, rugs, anything, art that makes a home more beautiful, plus yourself, whether it deals with hair products, clothing, fashion, jewelry, flowers, perfume, any of these things that are beautifying. And Venus also rules, since it rules all of the arts, it rules culture. Culture in terms of even having etiquette and social skills. I often think about Venus as it's in the first house, that it really brings cultural awareness. It brings someone that has astute social skills, especially if it's in Libra. Libra's all about etiquette, being graceful, being charming, being a socialite. So I often say that with Venus, these are innate qualities when it's in the first house, that you just know how to treat people, what is the right thing to say, and however it is to even entertain, such as what fork to use, what knife to use in certain dishes, and all of the things that's in home entertainment, setting the table. This is all Venusian, as I call it. So Venus in the first house gives you all of these qualities, and you come off as very graceful and pleasing, and especially pleasing to the eye, because Venus is beauty. Put it in the first house, and you have someone that cares and looks beautiful. They care about how they appear to others. That's Venus in the first house. Now, if you have Venus in the second house, this can be wonderful financially, because as I said, Venus does deal with great opulence, and Venus in the second house can bring great wealth and money. Especially, remember, when you have Venus exalted, either in Pisces or in its sign of rulership, Taurus or Libra, then it's extremely strong in these cases. So the second house always deals with our childhood experiences and our sense of self-worth. And Venus here would make someone have a positive experience growing up, unless it's there with other planets, I'm saying, but in and of itself, it creates a good experience growing up. And a good sense of confidence. And many times they say the second house is the face. So it would have a beautiful face, and the voice is very pleasing, charming. And sometimes that can even be a singer, someone that has a beautiful voice. That's Venus in the second house. Venus in the third house. This is the house of creative arts, entertaining in terms of your communication skills. So it's entertainers, and it's people that have talents with possibly their hands. So they could be great writers, poetic writers. Remember, Venus is beauty, and it can even mean an artist, someone who paints, who draws well, someone that expresses themselves through beauty. Venus in the third house can be a beautiful writer and express themselves in a charming, beautiful, graceful manner, especially in terms of the written word. But the third house is also travels. So that could mean someone that travels to beautiful places and wants to learn more about traveling. Now, Venus also in the third house could represent a sister. Not always, but sometimes, because Venus is female, basically, even though Shukra, which is the god for Venus, is actually male in Vedic astrology. Venus actually is the one that's head of the planetary camp, and Jupiter's head of the opposite planetary camp. So Venus and Jupiter are the leaders of their camps. And Venus's camp entails Mercury and Saturn and Venus, where Jupiter's camp is Jupiter, Sun, Mars, and let's see, the Moon. So that's the camp of Jupiter. Now, going back to Venus being in the third house, if there is a female sign, if Venus is in a female sign, it's most likely you have a sister. If it's in a male sign, there's a possibility that you have a brother. The female signs are going to be water and earth. The male signs are air and fire. So that's Venus in the third house. And I would assume that there's a good relationship with a sibling, especially if they're younger. Okay, so going on to Venus being in the fourth house, you will have a beautiful, beautiful home. You decorate with color, design, beauty. You could even design your own home because you have a creative bent with real estate and property. And it will mean that your mother's very beautiful, graceful, and charming with Venus being in the fourth house. And depending on what houses Venus rules will be the type of mother that you have, whether it is the triconal houses or the Dastana houses that Venus has rulership over. Dastana meaning the mother is not that close. Triconal, yes, you have a great relationship with the mother. But remember, you will put on beautiful parties at the home with Venus there. You love to entertain. And most of all, you really do love your home and family and all connections in those areas. So if you have Venus in the fifth house, you have beautiful children. And they will be very talented, creative in some way. They have a need to express themselves. But by and large, for yourself, with Venus being in the fifth house, you could be a writer, you could be an artist, you love to paint, draw, music, especially if Venus is in an air sign, a musician, beautiful songs, poetry, all of the arts, even acting and self-expression come alive with Venus being in the fifth house. Also with Venus being in the fifth house, remember Venus deals with wealth and money. And when you put Venus there and you think about the stock market, you'd be very fortunate and lucky when you invest in the stock market with Venus being in the fifth house. And you are sought out for your advice in many areas when you have this lovely, beautiful Venus in your 5th house. Usually you're blessed with wonderful children as well. If you have Venus in your 6th house, then this means you get along quite well with your coworkers, and you are very fortunate and lucky with the people that you choose to help support your business. Your employees, coworkers get along quite well. You have beautiful pets. Remember, Venus is always going to put in beauty. Another thing is, because the 6th house deals specifically with health and healing, you may enjoy selling beauty products, such as things that enhance the skin, the hair, the nails, all of that. And possibly you're in a service industry with beauty, whether it be fashion, design, or even prescribing things such as creams that beautify the skin, or even perfumes and soaps, all of those things that enhance the body and the health in some way, that it deals with beauty of that person. That would be Venus in your 6th house. Now, if you have Venus in your 7th house, you attract a beautiful partner. It's very important to you that your partner is good looking. Whether they're beautiful or handsome, you are attracted to the package, right? So sometimes they say, though, when Venus is in the 6th house, the 7th house, when Venus is in the 7th house, your partner, because they are so attractive, they attract others. And they say Venus in the 7th house isn't the best for marriage. Why? Because there can be some jealousy. When you have a partner that is so attractive to everyone else, you go out and all the other suitors are catching their eye on your partner. It's a little nerve-wracking, but that's what you get when you choose someone that is ultra mega attractive, such as if you have Venus in the 7th house. Plus, not only being physically attractive, they have social skills, and it means they're extraordinarily charming. And that's an attractive force in and of itself. But Venus also being in the 7th house would represent that your partner could be wealthy. Venus is wealth. So look at it in that respect. Not always, because sometimes they can just be a charmer and a Casanova. So be careful with Venus in your 7th house. Make sure they have more substance than just the exterior. So with Venus being in the 8th house, this is probably problems and situations that can cause that the 8th house deals with problems, and Venus rules marriage and relationships. So Venus in the 8th house can cause problems in relationships, because I've been talking so much about Venus being beauty. Well, it also deals with relationships in and of themselves. And Venus here can cause distractions, and even someone that may be very magnetic, a magnetic partner that can cause issues because they are attracting so many people. Now, Venus also in the 8th house can mean your partner is very wealthy, because it is the 2nd house from the 7th. So it's your partner's money. So this would bring on wealth and attraction and depth. Venus in the 8th house, it can deal with that your partner is extremely sexually attractive and magnetic and charismatic. Venus being in the 8th house. Now, Venus in the 9th house would mean there is this search for beauty and trying to find meaning in life through the sense of the beautiful things in life. And that could be nature. Nature is one of the most beautiful things, and that you are set on traveling to magnificent and beautiful places that inspire you to come from a whole different place and perception in your world. So you're seeking out by traveling to places that are magnificent, beautiful beaches and turquoise waters and white sands. These are the things that inspire you. Now also Venus being in the, and that's a confirmation of everything that I'm saying here. So Venus also in the 9th house can represent the father. And the father is somewhat very attractive, very charming, and has a quality of just magnetic, very magnetic, but loving. Remember, Venus is love, a very loving father. That's what I believe Venus in the 9th house is. And many times when I see someone with Venus in the 9th house, they say they're very close to their father, love their father. So that's something that I find common with Venus in the 9th house. And depending on what sign it's in, can even make the father even sweeter and kinder. Venus in the 10th house. Your career, your purpose in life should be something of the arts. You could deal with the fashion industry, dealing with purses, coats, clothing, even jewelry. Venus in the 10th house. Also, Venus in the 10th house could mean an artist or somebody who actually is an art dealer, something dealing with the arts, or even a hairdresser that beautifies a person, making someone in a field of dealing with beauty and the arts. So it could also be a musician, an interior designer with Venus being in the 10th house. And of course, depending on the sign, would give even more indications, such as Venus being in Libra, definitely in the 10th house in the arts, can even be a musician or an interior designer or a fashion director, someone that creates anything to do with beauty. So as I said before, it can even be somebody in the perfume, jewelry, hairstyling, everything that adorns beautiful things, with Venus being in the 10th house. Sometimes though, Venus, you know, is about money and luxury items. It could even be someone who sells such things as yachts, airplanes. I mean, we're going the opulent wealth that Venus in the 10th house could bring. Venus in the 11th house. You have wonderful groups of friends. Most of your friends are probably female, but you're popular. The 11th house deals with groups, friends, and organizations and popularity. Even Venus in the 10th house would bring popularity because that's your reputation. And this is a high level. People perceive you with Venus being in the 10th and the 11th as someone very opulent, beautiful. You're looked upon with adorning eyes. But the 11th house means many friends, and maybe it is that you're the oldest one in your family, or this can also mean that the oldest sibling is very beautiful, graceful, charming, and wealthy. All of those things apply to Venus. And the 11th house is also, don't forget, it's great wealth, great gains. Venus being here means great wealth and great gains can come all at once for you. So if Venus is in the 12th house, then this would mean that you love to go to places, faraway places that excite and thrill you. This is the house of foreigners and foreign travel, and Venus will take you to many places being here. But many times Venus in the 12th house could represent losses. Losses in the area of what? Relationships. But I will say this, Venus is the only planet that does not lose strength in the 12th house. As a matter of fact, did you know that Venus always condones wealth when it's in the 12th house. Many times I've seen people that inherit massive amounts of money with Venus being in the 12th house. One I can think of off the top of my head is Gloria Vanderbilt, who amassed a great fortune, the Vanderbilt fortune, even as a child. Venus was exalted in Pisces in her 12th house. Now there were losses, of course, to get to that great wealth. And I've seen that too with Venus in the 12th house, but it does condone great wealth when Venus is in the 12th house. But when Venus is in the 12th house, be aware you could have some very sneaky secret enemies, because this is where you can't see people coming, and Venus can be quite charming on the surface, but be very cautious that what goes deep down you may not be able to see. And the 12th house can deal with losses sometimes with charitable foundations. Venus being there can actually mean that you give great wealth to charitable foundations. So in other words, it's kind of a loss because you're giving. But that's not really a loss, because when you give, you always receive back. So that's Venus in the 12th house. Sometimes there is a loss or a feeling of disconnect with your marriage partner with Venus being there. But remember, it always does condone great wealth. Plus, you must have one, in Vedic astrology, actually, they say the 8th house, they don't claim the 8th house as the sexuality, but the 12th house. So the 12th house actually in Vedic astrology is said to be bed pleasures. Venus here means a good sex life, basically. So that is all I wanted to say about Venus being in all 12 houses. Venus is a planet of beauty, grace, charm, the arts, and creativity. And opulent wealth. What a wonderful planet. No matter what house it is, it will grace in some way something beautiful. So look up where Venus is in your chart. Remember, you can always go to my free chart calculator on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Don't forget to check out my beautiful jewelry. And also, if you want to learn Vedic astrology, take this all to the next level. Go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.